let's dive in and go to one of the most asked questions. How do you get your teen boys to talk to you more? Teen, tweens, little boys, all of them, right? We all want that storybook relationship where our sons talk with us. So I'm going to give you 4 practical tools to use to change how you're approaching it today. And I'm going to bookend it with 2 lessons that we can look at as parents. So we're going to start with, we are going to realize that boys don't chat like girls because they're not girls. Boys are different than girls. And as moms, we're girls. So our definition of chatting can be completely different than the definition of how your boy, tween, and teen, and someday young adult are going to chat. And that's really important, right? That's like the start of understanding how to get your son to chat is lesson 1, realize they're not a girl, and value how they do chat, right? Because who doesn't love the idea of sitting down and having this long conversation about how we want to spend the family vacation, or what their goals, hopes, and dreams are? But boys don't really talk that way. But you can help shape them and coach them and guide them to be willing to share those things with you, to create a space of vulnerability, to find ways to maximize the 30-second conversation so that they'll keep coming back to you. And that is something that we really can do. Is also, lesson 2 is creating space for them. And that's all that means, is that if you're sitting next to them and they're sitting next to you on the couch or in the car at the kitchen table, that you kind of have this peaceful energy about you that allows them to know they can just be present. That when you ask them a question, you find a way to kind of extend what they're saying and honor what they're willing to share, right? So you're kind of sitting there in the kitchen and you can say, hey, bud, I hope you had a nice day. They may say something, they may not. And then you can say something like, I got some apples for you. I know the ones that you like at the store. Would you like me to cut them up for you? Or would you like them as a snack? They may say, sure, no. And then you can say, okay, great. And you go and you cut the snack and apple for them, or they grunt and they go away, and you stay calm because you've created a space that you're not going to have a reaction to how they're showing up, and that it wouldn't change your behavior of offering them an apple. It doesn't change the fact that you thought of them at the store and got them an apple, and it doesn't change that you hope they had a good day. So you're kind of creating a space for whatever kind of walks in the door. And then as you do that over time, you're going to find, or if you do it from the beginning, they kind of know, and they know that grunt, when you go, ugh, and they may pull out the bar stool and sit down in it. And you're not going to say anything to them at that point in time. You're just going to kind of cut the apple, and you're just going to go. You're going to allow space for them to be. I think lesson 3 that we're going to start with right now is that we're going to go ahead and realize that we should respond when they do talk in the shortest answer possible. So the shortest answer possible is going to be, let's say they do share oh, I had such a bad day. I think I failed my math test, and so-and-so was a jerk, and I spilt, I didn't get pizza. They were all out of it when I got to the cafeteria. And you can say, why was your math test? Why did you fail it? What do you think happened? What should we do? Should I, contact the teacher? And just, right? You just feel it, right? The bombarding. But if you just say, oof, yeah, that sounds like a tough one. My guess is usually what happens is they keep going, right? And if it's something that you really have to talk with them about, you can say, if I were you, I would probably need some time to process. I am going to come back. We'll talk later on today about, I'll check in about your math test. So that you're just giving them the room to share without being bombarded, right? Some of my favorite answers are, wow, keep me posted on that. Because it doesn't tell them what they were saying was right or wrong or indifferent, right? It just says that you heard them. And often it creates this space for them to kind of keep chatting, to keep saying, kind of what's going on, And then another tactic on that would be is that, so this would be lesson 4 in this video, is asking permission to ask questions. So let's say later on in the day now, this same kiddo, right, who you've cut the apple for, you listen to him vent, he probably hasn't really done anything to fill your bucket. But remember, that is not his job. His job is not to fill your bucket. So you maybe you pop your head into his room and be like, hey, because he's probably playing video games or doing something else, when you are done with that game, can I ask you 3 questions? Or 1 question, 2 questions, whatever you think that your child has that span for. And then you're going to stick to it. So you can go and be like, hey, I want to follow up. And let's, to ask you some questions about your math test. Often you can say something validating on why you're doing that, right? Like, I know you've expressed that you really want to get a good grade in math. So I want to make sure I'm supporting you in what you need to accomplish that goal. Or like, I know that math can be hard. So I want to make sure that we're doing what we need to make sure that you feel supported, right? So something where it's like your questioning is about reaching a goal together, right? And that reaching that goal together is going to come, kind of through a long process of getting them to talk to you more and connecting. And we can do a lot of discussion on like secretly goal building with your kiddos. It gives you usually a really good excuse to take them out to lunch. But letting them have some ownership versus you're just nitpicking at them, right? And then think about your words. I say, okay, I want to know, are you really worried about your math test? Do you really think that it's concerning, or you're just kind of overwhelmed? Right? And say, I'm really concerned. Like, I seriously didn't know anything that was happening in that math test. Okay. Are you comfortable just kind of waiting till you get the grade back to see what we do next? Okay, you are, but you're like disappointed. Okay, yeah, I get that. How would you feel about when you get the math test? We kind of discussed together where your approach to the test didn't work out the way that you wanted. And they could say, hopefully they'll say yes, right? And so these questions were never accusatory, right? These questions are about trying to create one connection in partnership and coaching, right? I always thought like this idea that if I worked in this approach, then when they were in college or someday when they have families, that I was someone who was going to listen to them and be solution based, because I'm not telling them what to do in these questions. I'm saying, hey, what if we sit together and kind of evaluate it, right? Like, because then you can talk about, well, was it your approach to studying? Was it small things that you missed? And having this be like a child-led conversation versus a parent lecture really opens the doors for these kinds of conversations, right? And you can do that with really anything. So the next thing that's really going to help all these past lessons that we've just had in this video is finding out what your kid actually likes. Not making assumptions, right? Because, if they're 13, they may not like Legos anymore. And 11 and 12, like they switch so much and then they get so annoyed with us that we don't know what they like. So this is just a great way to connect with them, right? Like, hey, self-deprecation is definitely always a way to connect. You know what? I just saw this really funny video on Legos. Are you still into Legos, or have you found something new that you're kind of exploring right now? And let's say they say, oh gosh, I really haven't been playing with my Legos much. I've been looking at animation. Ooh, cool. Like, that's really exciting. Like, tell me more about it. Then they start telling you about this, right? And that is so important because I think girls shift and change all the time, right? We change our outfit, we change our hair, we change our makeup. And boys on the outside don't look like they change a lot. So giving them permission to share with us those changes are really important, because otherwise they could just be getting Lego set after Lego set, realizing that they don't really enjoy them anymore. We get frustrated because a $200 Lego set is sitting there and it's not being built. But is it the child's fault for not saying like, hey, I don't think I'm into Legos anymore? Or is it our fault for noticing the last Lego set didn't get built? And to say like, hey, is this something that still interests you? And then honoring the next phase and not being upset that the last phase is over, right? Like instinctively, my brain wants to say, I have $400 worth of Legos sitting in the closet and you're telling me you're over it, right? Versus just embracing the fact that they're shifting, because it's not their fault that they shifted in the middle of having extra Lego sets, because it's no different than a girl's style changing or wanting something different for their hair that we really accept. And so finding ways to kind of consistently ask them, and even funny things like, hey, have you seen, what's your favorite food trend on TikTok? I noticed, like, and then share that, like, not so you're asking questions that look like on a list of 20 questions, but add in like, I just saw the mug cake. Have you wanted to make that before? I was thinking of get the ingredients. Would you be interested? Great early teen connection moment on that one right there, right? Or like, ooh, I'm craving junk food, because teenagers, they can love junk food depending on the kiddo. Is there anything that like we think we should get from Costco? Maybe they'll say corn dogs or whatever. And then you are going to eat the corn dog when they eat the corn dog. You're going to keep your mouth quiet and you're going to have the experience together. You could get out 3 different kinds of mustard and try them out and but be low key. Remember, we're low key, that, not that deep. All the sayings that they are in their vernacular are there for a reason, because we do all the things that they think are cringe, right? So that's kind of finding out what they like helps build all these different kind of stories and things and lessons that we've been talking about through the day. You could kind of see how different your after school could be if you apply these ideas and lessons from the moment that they enter in that door, or that moment that you pick up that phone at the end of the day, right? That this is, you're just going in with the mindset that they are good, that they have shown up in the world well. They have maybe not shown up in like their test the best way or this or that, but they're showing up well, honoring that that didn't go well, and honoring that they are disappointed and sad, and honoring that they wanted pizza, and honoring that they're frustrated and that they don't like Legos anymore. This would be no different than if your girlfriend called and told you all the different things that they had done throughout the day that had shifted and changed and not gone well, right? So you can see that they are giving you all of the details of the story that you would love if they just sat down originally when they walked in, and when we originally started kind of the vision of this day. You're getting all of it if you take the time to see that the conversation is different, to see that it's going to be delivered to you differently. But you may be able to get just as much information out of it while fostering connection, because they don't feel shamed and kind of put in a corner for who they are. And that comes to the last lesson for this video, and that is humility. We need so much humility, I think, especially when we are engaging with any kiddo, but with boys, right? One, I think that they really gravitate well towards it because they really love their moms. So when we honor where we erred, they kind of, there's just like this little thing in them that just kind of listens. And when I can apologize, or when I can say, you know what, you're right, I did not ask that question well, or you're right, it's only 7th grade math. Yeah, I knew that you were struggling with that concept. And so that humility, that ability to step back, to understand that their behavior has nothing to do with us. Our job is to be the mystical, magical mom creature, right? That sits in the back, that is just supportive and there, and that they know they can trust. That is all the momness that she is, but can see that they are a human trying to figure it all out, and they have so much on their plate. So we're going to go again over what we've learned, right? Boys don't chat the same ways that girls do. So we need to accept the way that boys chat and not ask them to chat like girls. We are going to create authentic space for them to be in, so they don't feel like they have to go kind of run and hide, and that their boyisms of grunts and one-word answers have a place that belongs and is welcome, and we're not going to take it personally. 3, we are going to answer when they do share with the shortest answer possible. We're not asking questions. We are keeping it tight, hoping that they keep going. And really, we do listen, though, of course. We're going to ask for permission to ask questions, right? We're going to create a time, like say, hey, when you're done with this video game, I would love to come and ask you just a few questions. Usually I offer like how many for one of my kiddos. The 5th tip is that we are going to learn what they like. And we're going to accept that they are going to change, and that they're going to change pretty quickly. And if we compare it to kind of how girls change, I think for my brain, that really helped me see that, that Lego phase is over, right? And we're not going to shame them for not completing a Lego set. Obviously, that's just an example. And then the 6th overarching tool that's needed to implement all of these well is humility. We're going to not take any of their behaviors personally. We're going to be that calm presence in their lives, that they can come in a little hot. They don't get to be rude. I mean, I have no issue being like, hey, that was a little hot. Like, that was a little rude. Like, I didn't deserve that, right? But we don't have to go on and on and on and labor about that, right? But that we're going to have some humility as we start building this space for them to talk to us some more. So I would love to hear your thoughts on these. I would love to see how you can start practicing and breaking them down. Let me know how it goes and go and enjoy and have some fun with your kids.